From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. This is Dateline Malacañang. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday heaped praises on the participants of the Parada ng Kalayaan 2025, saying they made the celebration of the 127th Philippine Independence Day most memorable. The President led the Parangal ng Kalayaan 2025 at the Kalayaan Hall of Malacañang Palace in Manila in recognition of the winning and competing teams in the Parada ng Kalayaan 2025. President Marcos, joined by First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos, awarded the trophies and prizes to the winning contingents for the float design and festival performance competitions. The Chief Executive acknowledged the participating contingents of the Parada ng Kalayaan 2025 for their artistic mastery and contributions to deepening public awareness of the Philippines' deep historical narratives. President Marcos presented the trophies, certificates of recognition, and the 2 million peso Grand Crash Prize to the city government of Candon's Cry of Candon for winning the float design competition, and to the Tultugan Festival of the province of Iloilo and municipality of Maasin, Iloilo for emerging as champion in the festival performance competition. Second placers for both competitions, Iloilo Province's Cry of Santa Barbara for the float and Iloilo City's Dinagyang Festival for the festival, also received certificates and cash prizes worth 1 million pesos each. The Cinco de Noviembre float of the city of Bago, Negros Occidental, and the Antipolo Maytime Festival by the city of Antipolo, San Jose National High School were third runners-up, both earning a certificate of recognition and 500,000 pesos cash prize. The Philippine President also awarded certificates and consolation prizes to the competing local governments in both the float design and festival performance competitions. These include the city of Malolos, province of Bulacan, province of Aurora, province of Cavite, cities of Imus, Dasmariñas, and Cavite, the municipality of Kawit in Cavite, the province of Lanao del Sur, and the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday expressed condolences and solidarity with the United States, particularly the people of Texas, in the wake of the catastrophic flooding that has claimed lives and displaced thousands. In an official statement released by Malacañang, the President extended his deepest sympathies to United States President Donald Trump and the American people as they faced the devastating floods in Texas. The chief executive said the Philippines, a country vulnerable to natural disasters due to its geographical location along the Pacific Ring of Fire and the Pacific Typhoon Belt, knows the challenges of rebuilding after disaster and grieves with the families who have lost loved ones. President Marcos expressed confidence that Texas would overcome the tragedy with unity and strong leadership. Torrential rains and record-breaking flash floods swept across central Texas over the weekend, prompting mass evacuations and emergency declarations in multiple counties. At least 119 people had reportedly been killed in the catastrophic deluge. Majority of the casualties were recorded in Kerr County, a part of the Texas Hill Country northwest of San Antonio. On Wednesday, the palace, citing information from the Philippine Consulate General in Houston, stated that no Filipino has been affected by the devastating floods.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news Thursday, the Philippines Department of Migrant Workers, or DMW, is working on verifying reports that Houthi forces may have kidnapped several crew members of MV Eternity Sea after attacking and sinking the vessel while traversing the Red Sea. In a palace briefing, Migrant Workers Secretary Leo Magpayo said that 5 Filipino crew and an Indian armed guard out of the 22 crew of MV Eternity Sea have been rescued from the waters while the rest are considered missing. Kakdak said President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has ordered a whole-of-government effort to support the families of the missing crew members, including financial aid, medical assistance, and psychosocial support.
At ang nadatnan ng rescue team doon ay merong 5 tripulante in the water, kaya't sila ay naligtas. Ngayon, ang MV Eternity Sea has 22 seafarers, 21 Filipino seafarers with the captain, no? So 21 lahat, ang kapitan ay Pinoy, at yung isa ay foreign national. So 22. Ngayon, with the rescue of the 5 ay 16. 16 sa ngayon, ang inaantabayanan pa rin natin kung anong kinaratnan. Meron pa ring search operation as far as we know at patuloy ang paghahanap sa kanila. Bukod sa 5, merong isang nahanap na Indian armed guard. So 6, 5 Filipino seafarers and 1 Indian armed guard. At yung 5 na sagip na tripulante ay papunta ngayon sa isang destinasyon na hindi ko babanggitin for security reasons. Hindi ko rin babanggitin kung paano sila makakarating doon at gaano katagal. Again, for security reasons, pagpasensyahan nyo na. But rest assured, once there will be an opportunity to get in touch with them, we will, of course, do all we can to provide the necessary assistance and starting with medical and physical and mental health assistance that we could provide to them. And of course, to find out some details about what happened, particularly yung kinaratnan nung 16 at yung mga napapaulat sa international media na 4 na nasawi. Sa ngayon, meron kaming impormasyon ng 3 nasawi through the UK MTO, pero again, this too is subject to confirmation.
In a statement posted on X, the U.S. Embassy in Yemen denounced the Houthi attack on MV Eternity as it called for the immediate release of the kidnapped seafarers. The U.S. Embassy said that the Houthis continue to show the world why the U.S. was right in labeling them a terrorist organization. The bulk carrier MV Eternity Sea was attacked on July 7th by Houthi rebels using a drone boat and ballistic missiles while heading toward the port of Eilat in southern Israel. The ship sank early on July 8th, about 50 nautical miles west of Hodeidah, Yemen. Kakdak said, aside from the Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, they are also working with the Philippine Defense Attaché in Bahrain and international maritime security partners to gather reliable information and coordinate any possible rescue efforts. Currently, Kaktak said the Philippine government is focusing on the rescue efforts of the 16 missing Filipino seafarers while also verifying reports from the United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations or UKMTO that there are fatalities. He said the Licensed Manning Agency or LMA and the ship's principal have been suspended pending a full investigation on the alleged violation of DMW's strict safety protocols prohibiting Filipino seafarers from boarding ships transiting the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. Kakdak said that the initial probe reveals that the vessel crossed the Red Sea twice, bypassing regulations and exposing its crew members to danger. Aside from the suspension, he said, the DMW is looking at possible legal actions against the LMMA and the ship owner.
We're not happy, of course, with the way things turned out in terms of pinabiyahe yung mga tripulante sa high-risk zone. Currently, suspendido ang Licensed Manning Agency at ang principal nito bilang paunang pagpataw natin ng regulatory measure, but there will be an investigation to take place. Napakahigpit ng ating regulatory requirements, reportorial requirements prior to boarding any Filipino seafarer to any ship that will traverse the Red Sea or Gulf of Aden. Meron pang kailangang isubmit na risk assessment, meron pang requirement ng armed guard at maritime security escort. And our initial investigation reveals that these were all not observed. At hindi lamang yun, 2 beses nag-traverse sa Red Sea. Kasi kung titrace mo yung rota niya ng Egypt to Somalia, that's one, okay? That's one turn or one crossing across the Red Sea. And then bumalik ng Jeddah, so a second one. So at least 2 counts of violations of our rules and regulations. But again, the most important thing at this stage would be the rescue of our seafarers, and this must be undertaken immediately, as soon as possible.
That was Migrant Workers Secretary Hans Leo Kaktak.
Dateline Malacañang.
Also on Thursday, the Philippine government will hold talks with the United States next week to discuss the newly imposed 20% tariff on Philippine exports as part of efforts to secure fairer trade terms. Special Assistant to the President for Investment and Economic Affairs, or SAPIA, Secretary Frederick Go, confirmed that a high-level delegation, including officials from the Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, will travel to Washington, D.C. to engage with U.S. trade representatives. In a press briefing in Malacañang, Go said, the government is concerned that the U.S. has decided to impose a 20% tariff on Philippine exports. Go clarified that the trip was already scheduled even before the latest U.S. tariff announcement, but the issue is now a top agenda item. He also said that the country's top exports, semiconductors and electronics, are exempted from the new tariff scheme, which is set to take effect in August. Go said the U.S. officials are still reviewing whether to maintain these exemptions, but for now, the Philippines is in a relatively favorable position. Beyond short-term adjustments, Go noted that the administration is laying the groundwork for broader trade arrangements that will support Filipino industries and expand global market access.
We are in receipt of the United States' latest reciprocal tariff for the Philippines. We are concerned that the U.S. has decided to impose a 20% tariff on Philippine exports. The fact remains, however, that the 20% rate is the second lowest among all reciprocal tariffs that the U.S. has imposed on the region, the lowest being the 10% of Singapore. But more importantly than all of this, we remain committed to continuing negotiations with the United States in good faith to pursue a bilateral comprehensive economic agreement, or, if possible, an FTA.
Special Assistant to the President for Investment and Economic Affairs, Secretary Frederick Go.
Dateline Malacañang.
Meanwhile, Malacañang on Thursday said Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. will continue to do better for the country's progress regardless of the survey results on his performance and trustworthiness. This after the 2025 Pahayag Second Quarter Survey conducted by Publicus Asia Incorporated on June 27 to 30 showed that 25% of 1,500 registered Filipino voters approve of the president's performance as he leads the country. Sought for reaction, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro welcomed the poll results as good news but stressed that President Marcos's determination to work for the country would not be measured by the numbers. In a Palace Press briefing, Castro said, "All the president wants is to work and won't be affected by any survey." President Marcos's approval score was higher than the 19% logged in the first quarter of 2025. The chief executive's trust rating also went up to 19% in the second quarter from 14% in the first quarter.
Kung tumaas po ang approval rating ng Pangulo, maganda pong balita yan. Pero katulad na po na sinabi natin, hindi po tayo dapat nagre-rely lamang sa mga survey. Good news, bad news, kung ito man ay tumaas o bumaba ang approval rating ng Pangulo. Bakit? Dahil ang nais lamang po ng Pangulo ay magtrabaho. Hindi siya maapektuhan ng anumang survey. So, maganda po kung tumaas. Kung bumaba, siyempre hindi maganda. Pero still, hindi po siya maapektuhan ng anumang numero patungkol sa survey dahil trabaho lamang po ang nais ng Pangulo para sa bansa at para sa taong bayan.
Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Still on Thursday, Malacañang said the Marcos administration will exert all efforts to attract more tourists and investments by making the Philippines more peaceful. In a press briefing, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said the government will not stop to further strengthen the peace in the country. This as Castro welcomed the Philippines' best peace placement in 8 years in the 2025 Global Peace Index or GPI, climbing 6 spots to 105th out of 163 countries. The Philippines' latest ranking is the highest since it ranked 87th in 2017, registering an overall GPI score of 2.15. Castro urged the mainstream and social media content creators to join the government in its efforts to promote the Philippines as a beautiful country. She also asked them to avoid the negative issues, saying these could affect other countries' perception of the Philippines. Castro said the government will strive harder in promoting the Philippines to encourage foreign nationals to visit the country.
Magandang balita po yan. Dahil sa pagsusumika po ng pamahalaan ng Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr., makikita po natin ang magandang epekto nito. Pero sabi nga po natin, dapat pa pong mas maging maganda ang pagbibigay ng magandang environment, peaceful environment sa ating bansa. At mas pag-iigihan pa po dahil ito po ay isang inspirasyon para sa administrasyon na pagbutihin pa na mas maging maganda pa ang tingin ng ibang bansa sa ating kalagayan dito sa Pilipinas. At yun nga po, sabi nga natin, hindi titigil ang gobyerno para paigtingin pa ang katahimikan dito sa bansa at mas maganda rin po na makasama natin lahat-lahat, pati po ang mainstream media, pati mga social media content creator na mas paigtingin pa natin at ipalabas natin ang good news. Kung ano yung ganda ng bansa at medyo iwasan natin yung negative. Para po ito naman para sa bansa natin.
That was Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Moving on, Malacañang on Thursday said the proposal to reset the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections, or BSKE, and extend the terms for all village and youth officials needs to be carefully studied. In a Palace Press briefing, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has yet to receive the enrolled bill on the postponement of the 2025 BSKE and extension of officials' terms.
Nung tinanong po natin kanina, wala pa po natatanggap na enrolled bill. Kapag ka po natanggap na po, pag-aaralan po yung mabuti para po mapirmahan kung dapat mapirmahan. Sang-ayunan kung dapat sang-ayunan.
The bill, approved by the House of Representatives and the Senate, will move the holding of the BSKE to the first Monday of November 2026 and every 4 years thereafter, once signed by the President. The measure will also extend the official's term of office from 3 years to 4 years. Under the bill, village officials may hold the same position for up to 3 consecutive terms, while youth officials are limited to 1 term in the same role. Commission on Elections or COMELEC Chairperson George Garcia said preparations for the 2025 BSKE continue, while the bill is still waiting for the President's signature.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Thursday announced that Dave Gomez, a seasoned corporate communications executive with a background in journalism, will serve as the new chief communicator of the Marcos administration. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro, in a press briefing in Malacañang, said President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has appointed Gomez as Secretary of the Presidential Communications Office, or PCO. Gomez served as Communications Director of PMFTC Incorporated, Philippine Morris International, or PMI's Philippine affiliate, for over 2 decades. He began his career as a reporter for the Philippine Star. He also served as Director General of the Philippine Information Agency. Gomez will replace Jay Ruiz as PCO Chief and will be the 5th to hold the position under the Marcos administration. Castro said Ruiz will serve as one of the board of directors of the Manila Economic and Cultural Office, or MECO. Incidentally, MECO is chaired by Cheloy Garafil, who also served as PCO Secretary from October 2022 to September of 2024. Castro also announced the appointment of Sharon Garin as Secretary of the Department of Energy, or DOE. Garin served as DOE Officer in Charge after Secretary Rafael Lutilla was transferred to the Department of Environment and Natural Resources.
We are pleased to announce that President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has appointed Mr. Dave Gomez as Secretary of the Presidential Communications Office and Attorney Sharon Garin as Secretary of the Department of Energy. Secretary Gomez brings decades of experience in journalism, government, and corporate communications, having served as a senior reporter, Director General of the Philippine Information Agency and Communications Director at PMFTC Incorporated. Secretary Dave will ensure clear and truthful government messaging for every Filipino. Secretary Garin is a lawyer and CPA with extensive public service experience, having served as a multi-term Iloilo representative and DOE Undersecretary with a strong background in energy policy and legislation to advance accessible, reliable, and sustainable energy for our people. We look forward to their leadership as we strengthen government communications and secure our country's energy needs under bagong Pilipinas. Si Secretary J po ay magiging miyembro po ng Board of Directors ng MECO.
That was Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, Philippine drivers may now renew their license completely online following the launch of the Online Driver's License Renewal System, or ODLRS, integrated with the eGov.ph mobile application. During the launch at the Land Transportation Office, or LTO Central Office in Quezon City on Thursday, Department of Transportation, or DOTR Secretary Vince Dizon said, the new online system makes the renewal process easier and fixer-free. The LTO's digitalization efforts are part of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s order to improve online accessibility of government services. The launch was made in cooperation with the DOTR and the Department of Information and Communications Technology, or DICT. LTO Chief Assistant Secretary Vigor Mendoza II said the digitalization of their services is intended to make all transactions in the LTO fast and comfortable to all clients. To renew a license through the eGov.ph app, drivers would need to download and install the app on their smartphones, available in both the Apple App Store and Google Play. Once installed and the user is verified, they would need to find the NGA icon, click LTO, select Online Driver's Application, and then renew your driver's license. The user would be asked to upload a photo of the front and back of their physical driver's license, go through validation, review, and verification of details, and then have their photo taken that abides with the LTO's required standard format. In addition, renewal applicants can also have their medical examination online through the LTO ODLRS portal and book a telemedicine appointment. The LTO's Online Drivers Enhancement Program, or DEP, a required 5-hour education program, is available through the LTO ODLRS portal. Applicants can also pay for their driver's license renewal online. Mendoza advised applicants to complete the medical examination and the DEP beforehand, as these are requirements that they will need to upload as part of the online license renewal process. Once the process is complete and the transaction is successful, the applicant's driver's license is already renewed, with an electronic driver's license automatically generated and can be viewed in the eGov.ph app. Users may then choose to have their physical card delivered to their preferred address or have it ready for pickup at the nearest LTO district office.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, Radyo Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service is now live on audio streaming. Just download Evox PBS Receiver on your Google Play Store or the App Store from your Apple phone. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Just type in and search for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our posts as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.